Hey nerdy knitters, today we're looking at increasing on a purl row. Sometimes in a pattern you might have to do your increases for a garment on the wrong side of the work for a stockinette garment, or if you want to do some increases that are worked into purl stitches. Today we're going to look at 7 different ways you can work an increase on a purl row. So stick around for all of those, and if you want to jump to any point in the video, use the timestamp links in the video description box down below. The most basic increase is a yarn over. Simply bring your yarn to the front and wrap it around your needle. But the next stitch on my needle is a purl, so I need to bring the yarn back to the front. And now I've wrapped it around. There's the yarn over. I can purl the next stitch. And I've increased by 1 with that yarn over. It puts a hole right here underneath. The next set of increases we'll look at are the make 1 increases. There are 3 of them that we can work on a purl row. The first one is similar to a yarn over. It creates a hole. We work all of them in the same manner. We look for this running bar. If you look at the stitch that you've just worked right down here, this stitch, and follow that running bar to this stitch, you can see it's right here. There's the bar that connects those two. We put that on our needle just like a stitch, just like that. The right leg is in the front, the left leg is in behind, just like a normal stitch. And I'm on a purl row, so I want to purl this, bring my yarn to the front, insert into that front leg, wrap my yarn, and bring it through. That is a make 1 open. You can see it's very similar to a yarn over. It creates a hole. We can also twist that closed 2 different ways. We find that running bar, and for a make 1 right and a make 1 left, that is the difference for inserting. You can insert from the back to the front. You can insert from the front to the back. For a make 1 right, you insert from the back to the front. Now, if you have trouble remembering which way to insert, the easiest way to remember is to look at the way it's mounted. This left leg is leading off to the right. So that produces our right leaning increase. So if you pick it up this way and you look at it, it's not leading off to the right this time. Now it's leading off to the left. So this is our left leaning increase. So if you forget which way you're supposed to insert, either from the front or the back, just look at this stitch. If I know I want to work a make 1 right and I've picked it up and that stitch is leaning off to the left, I can't make a make 1 right that way. I've got to turn this way. Now it's in the right direction. That leg is leading off to the right. Now if I to work right into the middle of that stitch, remember I'm purling, but if I were to purl right here, that's going to be a big hole. So it's basically a make 1 open. To close that, I want to purl into this leg of the stitch, and that twists it closed. Let's try that again. And that is a make 1 right. So let's work the make 1 left. There's our running bar between our 2 stitches. Now I'm remembering my rule. It's leaning off to the right, so that's not the way I want it to go. I want a left leaning increase, so I'm going to move that around. Now it's leaning off to the left. So this one we insert to the front, and that makes it lean off to the left. Now if I just purled that leg, it leaves it wide open. That's a make 1 open. So to close that, I want to purl through the back leg. So I need to shift some of that yarn around to make it easy to insert. I come around to the back, find that left leg, insert that way, wrap, pull that through, and that closes up that hole, and that's a make 1 left purl. All right, the next increase is the right and left lifted increase. They're not worked in the stitch on the needle, they're worked in the stitch below the stitch on the needle, this stitch right here. And they're worked into the left or the right leg, which they're hard to see because we're on the purl side. We can see those legs better on this side, but they are there. So if we look at this stitch on the top, we can see there's the right leg, there's the left leg in behind, and the same goes for this down here. So to work the right lifted increase, we work into the right leg. I'm purling, so I bring my yarn to the front. All I need to do to work that right lifted increase, I can't really get to that leg over here. It's away on this side. I could go like that and bring it up and then purl into it. But if I just take the head of the stitch, remember it's the stitch below the one on the needle, I can bring it up and then purl into it, or I can just insert right into that stitch, wrap my yarn, pull it through, and that is a lifted increase, and then purl the next stitch on the needle. That is a right lifted increase. Now, if I wanted a left lifted increase, the left leg of that stitch that's on below the needle, it's over here. I can't really purl into this leg down here. I need to find a way to get to that. So I'm going to purl this stitch, but that is going to move the location of the stitch I want to work. It's now down here. The new stitch, the stitch I just worked, the stitch that I need to work into. And this, now it's very simple. All I need to do is insert into the head of that stitch, bring it up, bring my yarn to the front because I'm purling, purl that and drop it off the needle. And that is a left lifted increase on a purl row. And the last one you can work is a PFB. Like a knit front back, it's the same thing. We're going to purl into the front, turn our work, and purl into the back. And that is a PFB. And there are 7 ways to work your increases on a purl row. Let's turn this around and give them a look. Because sometimes you work your increases on a wrong side row in stockinette, and you want to see what they're going to look like on the front. All right, so over here we have our yarn over right there. The next one we worked was the make one open. You can see that leaves a hole just like a yarn over. Then we worked the make one right, and you can see there's still a little hole and it slants off to the right. And then we worked the make one left right here. Again, that little hole, but we twisted it closed and it slants off to the left. Then we worked our lifted increases. We worked a right lifted increase right here. That slants off to the right. And then we worked a left lifted increase right there. It elongates this leg, but then that slants off. The new stitch slants off to the left. And the last one we worked was the PFB, which gives us this little purl bump right there. And that's 7 ways to increase on a purl row. If you like to get a bit nerdy with your knitting, click the subscribe button down below.